Hi, I'm Giovanni, a full-time engineer who wants to share the adventures he has on weekends and on vacation. Hi everyone! At the end of spring, we spent 12 days driving Iceland's famous ring road in a camper van, and today I want to talk about my experience. If you want to see almost everything we did, there is a video that's over 1 hour long and you can find the link in the video description. It was our first time ever staying in a van, which allowed us to be extremely flexible because we were there before the main touristic season and could book our spots at the different campgrounds at the last minute. And so we didn't really have a strict plan. We just picked up the van in Keflavik, close to the airport, and decided to start driving the ring road in the counterclockwise direction, after spending 1 day in Reykjavik. Even if it doesn't feel like you're driving that much every day, it's worth considering that the weather might stop you from driving on some days, so it's a good idea to plan some extra time. Before leaving Reykjavik, we stocked up with groceries, because we weren't sure how frequently we'd encounter shops. Actually, we never had any trouble finding food. If you are traveling in a van, you have to be prepared to skip showering some days or charging your devices. Of the 11 nights we spent in the van, we did not have electricity for 1 night and showers for 2 nights. We started our trip with a day in Reykjavik, trying some local food and getting used to the van life for the first night at the campsite. The next day we began our journey along the Golden Circle, visiting the hot thermal river in Reykjadalur and the famous Skógafoss waterfall, before spending the night in Reykjavik. Before actually joining the ring road, we made a short detour to Dettifoss, one of Iceland's highest waterfalls, tucked away in a quiet valley. The last stretch of road to get there was quite rough, but somehow Ola managed to slip through it without a problem. It became a bit of a running joke for the rest of the trip. From there, we finally reached the ring road and started following it along Iceland's south coast, one of the most scenic stretches of the trip. We stopped at Seljalandsfoss, Skógafoss, and also visited the DC-3 plane wreck near Vik. This part of the trip was packed with incredible waterfalls and dramatic landscapes, but also some unpredictable weather. The next morning, we drove toward Diroley to see this spectacular peninsula and the black sand beach around Reynisfjara. It was one of those days that reminded us how quickly conditions can change in Iceland, and it's extremely windy. But also how rewarding it can be when you get a short window of calm weather. From there, we continued east towards Fjallaglufur Canyon, the mossy lava fields, and we ended the day in Skógafoss. From the next day, the weather got significantly worse, but we still managed to see Dettifoss, several glaciers, and of course Jökulsárlón and Diamond Beach, which were unforgettable. At this point, we thought we will have to stop in Ofn until the wind warning was over, but after very carefully checking the weather forecast multiple times, we decided that it would be possible to drive further to Fossardalur. The next day, we took it quite easy in the morning because of the wind, and after that we had a long drive toward the east and spent the afternoon at the Vök Baths near Egilsstaðir. A perfect stop for a bad weather day and a great way to reset after so many hours on the road. When we woke up the next day in Egilsstaðir, we debated whether to continue or turn back due to the better but windier weather in the south. In the end, we decided to continue along the ring road, and that was definitely the right choice. We visited Studlagill Canyon, Dettifoss in a proper snowstorm, and then relaxed at the Mývatn Nature Baths, one of our favorite hot springs of the trip. The following day, we explored more around Lake Mývatn, including Reynisfjara, a geothermal area that makes you feel like you are on a different planet. Then we drove toward Akureyri and stopped at the forest lagoon before camping in Amrar. This area felt very different because it was way quieter and less crowded. Next, we headed west toward Vitserkur with a few scenic stops like Reykjafoss and Jökulsárlón Canyon along the way. That day ended up being quite an adventure when we got stuck in the mud at the campsite. Luckily, the other people there helped us and we were towed out of the mud. The following morning, before starting the long drive towards the west, we stopped at the Dragsnes hot tubs. It was the perfect way to warm up and relax before spending most of the day on the road. After that came one of the longest driving days, going all the way to the westernmost point in Iceland, Latrabjarg, with its cliffs and lighthouse, and Rodisandur beach. The roads in the west can be quite extreme but scenic, with their steep drops to the ocean below. That whole area felt remote and quiet, and was definitely worth the effort to get there, even if we didn't manage to see the puffins as we hoped for. That night we stayed at Jökulsárlón camping, which was special for being right on the beach. It was really unforgettable to wake up there. On our final full day, we drove through the Snæfellsnes Peninsula, stopping at Kirkjufell, Itinerary beach and the Gerduberg cliffs, before returning for our last night to Reykjavik. We wrapped up the trip with a puffin watching tour, a visit to the Sky Lagoon, and Icelandic food for one last time before heading home. Tired but incredibly happy with how everything went. I want to give you an idea of the cost of such a trip, and here is the breakdown for the two of us combined. The van was just over 590,000 kronas, which is about 4,000 euros or $4,200. The fuel was about 100,000 kronas, which would be 690 euros or $720. For a campsite, we spent 71,000 kronas, which corresponds to 485 euros or $510. Groceries were about 100,000 kronas, which is about 685 euros or $720. We spent quite a bit for restaurants, and I would not consider this a necessary expense, so you might be able to save a bit of money here. For us, it was roughly 115,000 kronas or 785 euros or $820. We also weren't too selective when visiting various lagoons, so you could save some money by skipping some of them. The total cost was 78,000 kronas, which is 535 euros or $560. The remaining expense is mainly parking and the toll for the tunnel near Akureyri. Most of the places where you want to stop, you don't have to pay an entrance fee, but only for parking. In this category, we spent 18,500 kronas, which corresponds to 260 euros or $275. So the total for two people was roughly 7,450 euros or $7,850. Overall, driving the ring road in Iceland was an unforgettable experience, full of stunning landscapes, unpredictable weather, and moments that made us laugh, gasp, and just stop to take it all in. Staying in a camper van gave us incredible flexibility, and even with the rough roads, the long drives, and the occasional mud mishap, we wouldn't change a thing. If you're thinking about visiting Iceland, my biggest tip is to give yourself extra time to stay flexible and embrace the adventure. It's not just about the destinations, but the journey itself. If you enjoyed this summary of our trip, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more travel stories and outdoor adventures. And if you want to see our full hour-long ring road adventure, check out the link in the descriptions. Thanks for watching, and I hope this inspires your own Iceland adventure.